Hello, welcome back to the PL SQL tutorial. In this tutorial, we need to know why do I need PL SQL, and then we'll define what is PL SQL. All right. So let's take an example. We have employee table, and in our employee table, we have all these 14 rows, and let's say 5 columns. And let's say if I ask to do raise salary by 20% for all employees, for all employees. So in that case, I just give a simple update statement. I'll say update emp set sal is equal to 1.2 times sal. Okay. So this update statement is going to update all this employee salary to 20% is more than whatever they are getting right now. But the real life scenario is not like that. It will be actually more complicated rules. Let's say, let's think about this kind of rules that we are going to abide to increase the salary. Let's say if the job description is manager, and if that person has worked more than 10 years, then he will get 50% hike. If he is a manager and he is working from 5 to 10 years, then he will get 40% hike. Then if it's a manager with less than 5 years, no hike. If he is an analyst and working in department 20, then get 20% hike, and so on. The rules can go on. Okay. So in that case, the simple update statement, whatever we did in the previous case, is not going to work. Right. So if you see the rules, so these rules is nothing but bunch of if and else statements. Right. So you ask yourself right now, if you have done the SQL tutorials, and do you find anywhere that you have something like whatever you find in a programming language, full-fledged programming language, like a for loop, a while loop, a if and else statements? Are those things available in SQL? The answer is no. So therefore, if the rules are like this, then it may not possible to just do using SQL. In that case, I need some procedural constructs like if, else, like for loop and all this thing. So when I add this procedural construct with the SQL statements, then I get a full-fledged programming language, and that programming language is called PL SQL. Okay, so PL, the procedural construct, plus SQL together constitute PL SQL. So PL SQL is unlike SQL, which is ANSI. PL SQL is a proprietary language of Oracle Corporation. Okay, and then it has seamless integration of procedural constructs like variables, if, for, while, and all this thing. Okay, even this also supports complicated data structures. Okay, I wouldn't say that this PL SQL is something like a full-fledged language like C or Java, but it's almost it can cover it can basically cover a lot of business logic. It can help you in dealing with those things. Okay, so that is why you need PL SQL. So let's go to the PL SQL environment. Okay, so here is a first example of your PL SQL programming unit where I declare a variable. I declare 3 variables, and then here is a first SQL statement. I am selecting width and height from a table T into these 2 variables, and then I'm computing the area by multiplying them. Okay, and then I'm printing out whatever the computed value. So if you see in this programming units, so these 3 are PL parts, and this is of SQL, and again these 2 are PL. Okay, so therefore the PL SQL block consists of both PL and SQLs. Okay, so whenever we are going to give, we're going to run this thing, we're going to run in an environment that is called PL SQL compiler. Okay, or PL SQL engine. So PL SQL engine is going to take the whole block and it will separate the PL parts. So the PL parts is going to a executor called procedural statement executor, and the SQL parts is going to go to the SQL statement executor in the Oracle server. Okay, and then once this SQL part is got executed and it comes back, and then it will integrate everything, and then the program will complete. Okay, so this is how a PL SQL programming PL SQL compiler works. Okay, this PL SQL engine can happen in two places. One is in client side. That means, so let's say assume so this is the client and this is the database server. Okay, so I can have a PL SQL engine in the client side. So in that case, what it's going to do, it is going to have the PL parts executed in the client, where only the SQL statements are coming to the server and then gets back to the client, and then client will integrate them and give the end result. Or else, so this is a scenario 1. In the scenario 1, the PL SQL engine is in the client side. In scenario 2, which is also a very valid scenario, where everything happens inside the database. So that means you write some PL SQL program. That PL SQL program is going to be inside the database, and the PL executor also in the database, and SQL executor also in the database. All right. So that is how scenario 2 works. Okay. So now let's go through what are the advantages of PL SQL. So number 1, it gives you ability to real life programming. That consists of as I told you in the very first video, sorry, in the very first slide, that we need some kind of if and else kind of thing, real life programming, real life scenario. Okay, so number 2 is the tight integration with SQL. So what does this mean is that you do not have to translate between SQL and PL SQL data types, right? So whatever data types you have understand in SQL, that is varchar, number, so those exactly same data type is going to work in PL SQL. Okay, so there is no need to change, or no need to, there's no different types of data types in PL SQL. Okay, and what does it means is that this integration is going to save you both learning time and processing time. Okay, and another advantage of in the variable is that you can define a variable of some some item type of the table. Let's say I have a table T. So I'll take an example of employee, and then I have salary, which is a number field in the employee table. Then I can also declare a variable like this, a, as employee percentage sal. That means what I'm saying is that whatever the column type of salary in employee table, this variable is of same type. This thing is going to determine at the runtime. At the compile time, I don't know. At the runtime, the PL SQL programming unit, the PL SQL executor is going to figure out what is the column type of this employee, and whatever data type it is, it will assign to that. So in this case, it will be assigned a as a number, because salary is a number. Okay. Number 3 is full portability. So what does it mean by that? So let's say I have an Oracle database which is running on Windows 2008, and I wrote that PL SQL program like this. Okay, so this PL SQL program I wrote on a machine with Windows 2000 Oracle database, and so this is my block, PL SQL block. Then I wrote something here, right? Exactly same thing will work on another Oracle database which is installed on Linux. Okay, so you don't need to modify anything on the PL SQL block. You just take that one and then you compile on this Linux machine, and provided that you have already installed Oracle server, and you should be fine. Okay, so that is called full portability. That means you write the code once, it is going to run on any Oracle platform independent of the operating system and all this thing. Number 4 is access to predefined packages. So what Oracle does to make this thing highly productive so that you can develop access to predefined packages. So what Oracle does in order to basically so that now in order to make the developer productivity, they have already given you a lot of libraries, lot of functionalities, lot of packages so that you can use those packages and build application quickly. Okay, so for example, one of the example is dbms underscore lob. So dbms underscore lob is going to give you all the packages, all the functions procedures required to write a multimedia application where including image processing, file processing, and all this thing. Another package comes to my mind is called utl underscore http. utl underscore http package is going to do a lot of web-based application development easy. So using those packages from utl underscore http, you can create a application very quickly. Number 5 is tight security. So the tight security means like this, tight security. So let's say this is the Oracle database and I have this program unit, right? So this program unit, or I call PL SQL block. So let's call it PL SQL block. PL SQL block is basically a text file where you have written something PL SQL programming language, right? What you can do, you can put this thing inside, you can create a procedure or function or package inside a database. So once it's inside a database, whatever types of user access controls are available for other objects like table, synonyms, the same thing also applicable for these packages, these functions and all this thing. Okay, so therefore you don't have to worry about anything. You just use the security mechanism inside the Oracle database if you put your PL SQL block to run inside the database. Number 6 is better performance. So what is my better performance? Let's say we are like in our case, let's say this scenario, somehow we solve this thing using only SQL. Let's say we wrote for that 5 SQLs. In this case, we'll write this, we'll execute this 5, we'll fire these 5 SQLs one at a time. That means SQL number 1 goes from the client to the server and run. SQL number 2 goes from client to the server. 3 goes from client to the server, so on. So what we have, so this is a database server, right? So what we have, there is a time in the network. Okay, so the network time is going to be consumed for these 5 SQLs. However, if I write only one PL SQL block and send that one at a time, then all this PL SQL block will be transported once and will be executed in the Oracle server, and the results get back. I get back the results. So in that case, it's only one round trip. So always 5 round trips are less performing than one round trip. So basically we are going to save a lot of time on the performance. Okay, number 7 is that rapid web application development. So Oracle comes up with a new tool called Apex, Oracle Application Express. Using Oracle Application Express, you can complete a end-to-end web application development using the latest Web 2.0 using Ajax and all this thing with less than 10 minutes. Less than 10 minutes you can develop a end-to-end working application with high securities, with logins and all this thing, just less than 10 minutes by using the Apex libraries inside, which comes as a part of Oracle Apex development toolkit. Thank you.